Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing wedding photos again, and this time it's only going to be one photo to kind of keep it short. If you're just tuning in, go watch some of the other videos, and I talk a lot about calibration on your screen and use a bunch of techniques that I most likely will use in this video as well. But I'm going to kind of try to keep this one short. The other ones have ended up being about 20 minutes long, which is just crazy and awful. And the fact that some of you actually watch them all is amazing, and so I really appreciate it. So we're going to get started on this one, and this is a photo I pulled up from a 2010 wedding I shot a long time ago. First one of the 2010 summer wedding year. And I had 5D Mark II still, and I think for my lens for this shot it was a 24 to 70, I believe, one of Canon's L's. And I liked it, but I sold it. So to get some setup again, for this shot I used one flash. A little small, tiny softbox. You can see it in their catch eye right there. It's on the camera in front of me, or sorry, it's in front of me, and it's really aimed low. That's why you're getting these shadows on their sides of their faces here. And the reason I used a flash on this shot was because I tried it without I tried it without a flash first, and this is what it looked like. So it's awful. This was naturally lit, this shot, and this is in some old chapel in Salem, Oregon. So for this shot, you can see I had to bump my ISO up to 1250, and I shot at 2.8, and I was at 1/25th of a second, and that's super slow, and it just looks awful. The light, it wasn't even salvageable. It was garbage. So immediately, like a good photographer, I panicked, and I grabbed a flash, and we set it up. And this is what it turned into. This is raw out of the camera. And you can see here I had to use ISO 400, so I dropped that a lot. Went to 3.5 instead of 2.8, so I get a little bit sharper, also to control my flash. And then I went to 1/25th of a second. So you can tell that the file obviously is going to be much cleaner than this one, which was shot at 1250, and it just looks soft because of 1/25th of a second handheld, blah, blah, blah. So again, I want to make videos eventually of me out in the field using flash. That's something I'd really like to do. I just need to know if that's something people are interested in. And so we're going to get right on into this photo. And this was, like I said, shot a couple of years ago. So if I was to do this again, I would probably pose the guy differently. I think he looks a little awkward now that I look at it 3 years later. And she looks, decent. I'd probably do something with this arm, maybe move this one a little bit, but whatever, it's good for now. We're just showing editing techniques. So where I'm going to start, just like all my other ones, is I'm going to go and I'm going to mess with my highlights, and they're not too bad. I'm going to probably actually bring them up because I kind of like that soft blown out look on the sides of their faces from the flash. I'm going to go to shadows, and a technique I've been kind of using lately is clicking the Option key on Mac. I don't know what it is on PC. I apologize. It's probably the same. But you click Option and you click the shadows, and if you just start sliding them over, you can see immediately where they're starting to actually lose all of your light and just get complete pitch dark. So, some spots there and whatnot. So this is kind of cool to give it, getting a reference of where your shadows are getting affected. I won't always use it because, you can look at this and be like, okay, that's perfect. Let go and be like, well, that looks like crap. So, most of the time I just eyeball it and do this, and that works good enough for me. So I'm just going to do that for now, but I thought I'd share that technique if you had any, reason to use it later on. So I'm going to throw a lot of shadows into this. It's going to make all these, darker spots a lot moodier. I'm going to leave the whites where they're at, grab the blacks, and maybe throw a little bit more in there. And I kind of like that already. That's already looking good to me. It doesn't need much more editing, but we'll mess with it a little more. White balance, this is what it was shot at. I'm going to grab the eyedropper. Make sure that, where is it? There's a button here somewhere that allows you to have this. You can just click this as many times as you want on different spots, and it's going to grab your white balance. And I'm not sure where that is. I could have swore it was somewhere right here. Maybe I'm not seeing it, but okay, don't quote me on that. Anyways, so I'm going to grab my white balance, get somewhere to start. I kind of liked where it was already better than what this is giving me, to be honest. Maybe I'll try hitting the ground. That looks fine. I'll throw a little more magenta in there maybe. And that's good enough for me, honestly. Exposure is a little hot. I'm going to bring it down just a smidge. Make sure my screen is at the brightest. Clarity, I'm not going to touch that. It's going to affect their skin tone too much and make them look like an old grandma. Vibrance, I'm going to leave. Saturation, I'm going to leave. Looking at this image again, it's still a little too warm for me, so I'm going to bring this down. That's better. We're going to go down here. Sharpening, it doesn't need much. Honestly, it's sharp already, so I'll put it up to 40 maybe. And then we're going to go down here. Vignette. I know some of you had noticed in my other wedding video that my vignette is very strong, and that's my style. I don't use it in all my shots, but I use it when it can actually draw the viewer's attention more to whoever the subject is. And in this case, it's right here. So I don't want them to be looking over here, here, or up here. I want them to be looking right here. And so to do that, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to grab my roundness and even bring it down over here and grab that vignette still and kind of do more. And that kind of creates a cool gradient on their clothes, a nice soft gradient from dark to, medium. And that's good enough. As you can see right here, it looks like my Tom's shoes, which I was wearing the day of, which, by the way, don't ever use Tom's if you're shooting a wedding because your feet will hate you afterward. So I could go in Photoshop and I could get rid of this pretty easily, but because we're using Lightroom and most people might not have Photoshop, I'm going to use this tool and let you know that it's fairly powerful. I'm going to make sure it's on Heal. Clone usually works better in this instance, but I think Heal might work better. So I'm going to try to line up these lines from the wood bench here, and I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit more. Let that render, and hey, that's good enough for me. Up here I had some weird thing on the floor, so I'm going to do the same thing, and that's awesome. You can't even tell it was there. If you wanted to, you could grab this and you could even start fixing stuff on this bench that might draw your eye somewhere else. I don't know, it's up to you. Okay, so we're done with that. I'm going to grab a brush. Gonna put the clarity up really high. I'm gonna start messing with some stuff just for fun. See what we can do. Yes, and that's too much clarity for me. That's good enough, and I'm gonna bring some shadows into those, a little more clarity. That's fine. I'm gonna get a new brush. I really like this gray carpet that's kind of blurred out. It's awesome. It looks really cool. I'm going to go in between her arm here just so it kind of matches everything. This is real rough edits, so, take your time. And I'm just going to throw a little clarity into that. Might grab this here, create a gradient. Not of clarity, but maybe just to darken it a little. Again, I don't want this to be the main thing people see. I want them to look at the couple. That is the most important part, folks. So let's go ahead and zoom in. They really don't have many blemishes, which is awesome. Great for us, so I'm not going to touch their skin. I will get another brush, and because her eyes are popping, I'm going to go around her little blue spots on her eyes. Grab the clarity and maybe bring the exposure up just a smidge. And then you can see that just really enhances it. And we're going to do the same thing for him. Maybe with the same brush, it might just work. I'm going to get a new brush for this eye because it's a little dark, a little more in the dark. And we can bring the brightness up to try to even it out a little more. Too much and it's too noticeable. That's good enough for me. I like that. Another thing we could do is get another brush and just kind of do another clarity detail brush on some things. Maybe this weird thing that he's using for croissant or a whatever flower. And throw the clarity up. It just kind of makes it pop a little more. We could even go on her dress here and maybe blow it out just a little bit more. I don't really like the dark spots in between. Maybe get another brush and do this over here and kind of just make it a little whiter. I don't really like how it's kind of in the dark. That's good enough. So that's my edit for this photo. We'll go ahead and look at what it looked like before. And it's not too bad. It's, you know, it was lit well enough to where you really don't need to do much editing. And that's kind of my goal always with shooting, is shoot to where when you bring it back in post, you don't have to do much. And that's an awesome feeling. It's a little weird sometimes because you really feel like you should be doing stuff, but it's awesome. So we'll go back. Some noticeable things. We added some cool shadows. Darks are a lot more dark. Again, vignette trick. It isolates the subject, in my opinion. If you don't see the original ever, then you're not going to notice the vignette most of the time. It just looks like a really moody lit photo. So again, we're going to go look at the one that was lit by natural light. And it's dreadful and awful. So honestly, I think for this one I used maybe a 580 EX2 back when I had it, but nowadays I would just use a Yongnuo 560 flash, and you can buy them for like $60. Get a cheap little softbox that costs 10, 20, 30 bucks, and some Yongnuo receivers and transceivers for the flash, and you're good to go. And you can create cool effects like this. And obviously you can tell I completely killed the ambient light just with one flash, one speed light. I mean, because you can see over here, there's ambient on this side of their faces. It's yellow. There's ambient even on the ground from a window maybe. So you can see just with one flash, you can kill everything and change the mood and the look completely. And so that's something I'm going to eventually touch bases on. I want to make more tutorials on, you know, in the field. And the only way I'm going to do that is, you know, if people request it. And so, yeah. Comment, like it, share it. I really appreciate, you know, the views I've already gotten from one of the videos. Go check out my other ones. There's a lot of useful information, and so I mean, I'm only making this for you guys, and so I'd love to hear some feedback and let me know what you think. So also, one thing you can do is go to my website now, davidjamesvisuals.com. I have a spot for photographers where you can download presets from certain YouTube tutorial videos. So yeah, go there and go to the Facebook page and like it. I would really appreciate it. And I'll keep these videos coming for you guys. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it.